Nash, you say a brief fling resulted in you becoming a mother, and you are sick and tired of raising your daughter alone. So you've opened your case today to prove to the defendant that he fathered your 7-month-old daughter, Zion Nash, so that he will finally step up. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brewer, you testify that you saw another man going in and out of the plaintiff's home at the time of conception. You claim there's no way you fathered her daughter and refused to support another man's child. Is that correct? So, Ms. Nash, has the defendant helped at all with your daughter?
No, Your Honor, not at all. He hasn't bought a pamper. He hasn't bought a bottle, not a bottle of water, nothing.
And Zion is 7 months old?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is that like, having to care for a newborn alone with no help?
It's absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. The fact that he stays 2 doors down, I think that's what really just tears me up. I never can go over there and just ask him for help or anything. If I ever reach out to him for anything, I can never get anything. The most I get from him is a text message.
And that's heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
Look at Mr. Brewer and tell him what those tears mean.
These tears are mostly disappointment, Josh. I really just kind of expected for you to just help, you know, a little bit more. I mean, honestly, it's not any at all. So I really just expected just a little bit more from you.
But if you're not sure she's mine, why should I?
We had sex, Josh.
Yeah, we did.
It's a possibility. The possibility is what should have had you there.
Right.
Okay. And if you 85% sure, then why still do you feel like I should step up?
89.9. So that 11%, I think that's real, that's minor. That's
you said, hold on, Ms. Nash, you said it was 89.9%.
That 11%
she
is
added
very
4
minor.
points to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When, today?
The point is that you basically are saying you're not 100% sure.
Absolutely, yes. Because I was dating someone a month or so prior to me, you know, having sex with Josh. But I was also a lesbian for almost 13 years. So it's not like I was just out here.
So you do honor the fact that it is a potential.
Absolutely.
Very much a reality that your child could be this other person.
Absolutely.
But you believe Mr. Brewer
Strongly believe that
the father. So, Mr. Brewer, you obviously feel like that's too much of a window for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So take me back. How did this sexual relationship begin?
So for the most part, like I said, we are neighbors. We live in the same apartment building. It was just simply neighbor things. Hey, how you doing? Running to him in the hallway. And then it turned into personal when I ended up needing help in my apartment.
She turned me into Mr. Fix-It.
Oh, she turned you into it?
Into it.
Well,
I didn't want to do it.
Oh, you didn't want to do it? Well, I mean, that's fine. Either way. You might have not wanted to have sex either, but you did.
You right.
Anywho, I asked him if I could cook down there after we couldn't get the stove situation.
Oh, so you asked him to come over to your apartment and fix the stove?
Yes, ma'am.
And then things really heated up. Did you seduce him,
no,
Ms. Nash?
I didn't have to really work that hard.
Oh, this is getting interesting, right, Jerome? So, after the dinner, you started to have a little dessert. Did you use protection?
Clearly not, because that's why we're here.
Okay. So, clearly, since you admitted there was another guy, this was not an exclusive, committed thing.
Oh, absolutely not. We never were in a relationship. We never...
So take me to the day you found out you were pregnant. How did you find out?
Well, when I found out that I was pregnant, maybe the next day I think I called him and we sat down and talked about it.
So you did?
Yes, ma'am.
How did that conversation go?
She texted me and asked me was I busy at the time. I'm like, nah, I'm in the house making me some breakfast or whatever. And she come down, I ain't got no shirt on and nothing, Mr. Sexy. So I'm just sitting there, she talking to me, and she like, I'm pregnant. She sat on the couch, I'm pregnant. I immediately told her, like, we need a DNA test. She ain't had no problem.
No, absolutely not, Your Honor. Actually, what he said was, do you want to keep the baby. That's what he said.
I don't remember saying that.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I don't remember that.
That's fine.
Okay, so you answered yes.
Yes, I told him this is a blessing. I would never get rid of my child. He let it be known instantly that he did want a DNA test. So he kind of set the tone for what I should expect.
I hear the pain behind your words.
To be honest, Your Honor, I really think that him being so close to me is what tears me up. When my baby is crying, when I have issues with her, period, I can't call him or get help from him.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So this is what I want to know. Take me to the birth. When Zion was born, obviously Mr. Brewer didn't attend any doctor's appointments with you.
Absolutely not.
And so you had this baby by yourself? Or was someone else with you?
Absolutely, Your Honor. My mother was with me, but I did text him to let him know that I was going into labor.
I don't remember that. I just got a picture.
I told him the room number. He said, I'll try and make it.
You sure that was me?
It. He never made it.
You sure that was me?
No, it wasn't you. It was
okay.
It was
You
your
heard
text
her.
message.
Okay.
So when
I don't remember what hospital she was at or nothing.
I know you don't. I know. Because you don't really
didn't tell
care
me.
that much.
You didn't tell me.
Josh, you have to walk past my apartment to get to yours. So for you to ever say you don't hear her.
So I don't check on you. I don't text you.
Through text message, absolutely. Y'all good.
You be wanting your distance.
Y'all
I give you your
good.
distance, what you want.
We good.
But I told you, all you gotta do is call me.
And I never received anything from you.
That ain't true.
Okay.
So
I know
you're
it's not.
saying you did make an effort.
I did.
And the first time you ever saw a picture of the baby was after Zion was born.
After she was born, yes.
And then what did you do? Once you saw the picture, did you say, I want to meet the child, I want to figure out, let's get a DNA test? What was your response?
The first thing was the DNA test.
We still waiting on that. That's why we here.
We gonna find out.
I bet you we gonna find out.
We is.
So, Mr. Brewer, you are convinced Ms. Nash was sleeping with other men during this time.
I've seen her walk in her apartment with another man.
Okay. All right. I've seen you walk into your apartment with men and women. I'm not assuming that you're having sex with either one of them. I'm not obligated to you.
So
I don't have to
you
tell
submitted an exhibit. Please cross over to the monitor and explain the exhibit you brought.
Now, this is a map of our hallway. She's coming in with another man. He got it like this.
You should have said hey.
Well, I spoke to both of y'all.
You should have said hey.
I spoke to both of them.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
You said what's up,
back.
he said what's up. I'm looking at them, they finna get dirty. I'm already knowing.
How do you know they're about to get dirty?
I'm knowing.
How do you know that they're about to?
I know her.
Was this during the time of conception?
I think we probably had just had sex a couple days before then. And then probably had sex about a week after that.
So you see her with another man going into an apartment, and then she tells you she's 89.9% sure you're the father.
She said.
So immediately, when you think about that other 15%, your mind goes to...
It ain't mine. That's how I'm thinking.
Okay, so you go stand over by the podium because you're about to start clowning, and you know I don't tolerate this
I ain't
in the
clown.
courtroom.
I ain't
clown. Have you developed a relationship with Zion at all? Have you seen her? Have you held her?
I done played with her.
He's seen her.
She always smiles.
He's seen her approximately 5 times. I can count on my hand literally 5.
5 times in 7 months?
Including yesterday. So that made 5. You don't have a relationship with my daughter.
So you've seen her 5 times in 7 months, and you live 2 doors down. So you all have had sex more than you've seen the child.
Oh.
See, that's when we find out the priorities.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, because that's where I was at with it. I knew what I was getting involved in, but it was too late. Like, I'm not getting rid of my daughter. She is, I would have
never told you to get rid of her.
I would have regretted totally look at my baby to get rid of her. You a fool for not even wanting to participate.
You a fool for saying you 85%.
I know, but I'm honest though, and that's why I told you. I didn't have to tell you anything.
You didn't.
Okay, so you might want to just check yourself because I did you a favor.
Cool.
I did you a favor.
All right.
Well, hold on. let's not get into all of this negativity. That doesn't even help us. This other guy, Miss Nash, where is he? Have you ever told him?
Absolutely. And we both sat down and we talked about the same thing. But the fact that Mr. Joshua has the most percentage, that's where I'm at. We're gonna start at the top and we'll work our way
But you know
down.
this percentage, you developed the calculation to this.
Absolutely.
You do know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But at the end of the day.
You got to go?
Mm-mm.
You checking your watch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got somewhere to be?
No.
I didn't think so. That's rude.
I apologize.
Because you real macho. You got all the man moves. You ain't got time. You on your time schedule. It would have taken less time for you to go to the store and get a condom than it did for you to fly here and appear in paternity court. But these are the life lessons we learn.
Yes, it is.
But we don't disrespect children. What I want to understand now is, how did you do this calculation? How do you arrive at that percentage?
I arrived there simply because they have the same features. Just honestly, she doesn't really have any of my features like that.
You submitted evidence to the court, a diagram, which you say outlines those similar features.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
You say Zion has the same receding hairline as Mr. Brewer.
Look at what he did to my baby. I don't have a receding hairline.
Feature number 2. You say
that
Zion has the same round head as Mr. Brewer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lastly, you say Zion sleeps with her mouth open.
Wide open.
Just like Mr. Brewer. So, all of these overwhelming similarities lead you to believe
yes, ma'am,
that this is Mr. Brewer's biological child.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
So after this evidence, Jerome, I don't even think we need the results. She got a round head, a receding hairline, and sleeps with her mouth open. That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Whew. Well, look, you know, I don't even think this would amount to 89.9 in any calculation. However, I do understand when you don't have the cooperation of the potential father, and I can only imagine looking at a beautiful new baby, innocent, and you are literally studying features to determine which man is her biological father. And so this other man, has he ever seen Zion?
Absolutely. He's done more for her than he's done.
But you don't believe he's her biological father?
No, and he knows that as well.
But does he believe he's her biological father?
No, ma'am. We both know the truth. We are here at the same lane with it.
So have y'all took a DNA test?
No, because as I stated in the beginning, we're gonna start at the top and we'll work our way down.
Oh, okay.
And then we were waiting for you to do the DNA test, you know?
He was waiting too?
No, baby. Me and my baby, we were waiting, okay?
I will say this about you both. You all have stated your case. You have stated clearly why you believe what you believe, feel the way you feel, and how you both understand you arrived in this courtroom. And I think the only thing left to do is to get the results. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Nash versus Brewer, when it comes to 7-month-old Zion Nash, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Brewer, you are the father. You are the father. That's
Can I have an apology,
little girl.
please?
I apologize.
Thank you, Your Honor. I really, really am overjoyed right now.
Mr. Brewer, your baby girl lives 2 doors down from you, and you've barely laid eyes on her. I'm sure you understand what daddies mean to little girls.
Yes, I do.
So you know you got some time to make up for. And this is serious.
Oh, I know. I know.
I'm not crying for nothing, Josh. I don't want you to have a hard time.
I can see the earnest look in your eyes. I see this matters to you.
Now that I know, she gonna meet her sisters and everything. So I'm happy that.
Ms. Walker, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test and want to prove that the defendant is the father of your 13-month-old son, Bentley. You admit that there was another man, but hope Mr. Conn is Bentley's dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Conn, you have been in an on-again, off-again relationship with Ms. Walker and say you desperately hope Bentley is your son, but have substantial reason to doubt that you are the biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Walker, why is it so important to prove that Mr. Conn is Bentley's biological father?
It's important to me because I want the best for my son. He deserves the right to know. I feel that Jerry is the best choice.
So you are admitting that there are other possibilities?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Conn has developed a relationship with your son?
Yes, they have a very good bond. They're so good together. It makes me so happy to see them together, and Jerry deserves this more than anything.
And Mr. Conn, I can see the tears in your eyes as you look at Bentley. I can see.
I'm just the last person to carry on my name, and I would really like to find out if it's mine so I can tell my grandma if she has a grandson or not.
And you really love this baby?
Yes,
you do.
ma'am. I love him with all my heart. I'm just hoping he's mine.
Ms. Walker, I want to get into this because I want to understand how we got here. What was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Conn? Are you all in a committed relationship? What kind of relationship is this?
We were in a committed relationship for 6 years. We had our problems, and we wound up parting ways for 3 years. And another guy came into the picture. I found out that he was unfaithful to me. And Jerry, he's always been there for me. He's always been my rock. And I called him, and I went back to him. That was the day that we got together for the first time since we split up.
Mr. Conn, what is it about Ms. Walker you love?
I've loved her since day one. We were working together, and I've just been with her since then.
I can see that means something to you to hear that. It makes you emotional?
Yes.
Because you know he loves you very much.
Yes, Your Honor. I hate that we split ways. He was my soulmate.
And so there's a lot riding on today's results.
Yes, Your Honor.
Take me to the day you found out you were pregnant with Bentley.
I'd had some morning sickness, and I had missed my cycle. So I took a test, and it came out positive. I didn't really have no worries then until later on, whenever I went to get a test done at a doctor. They gave me an ultrasound, and they told me what my conception date was, and that's when I started panicking.
All right, so who were you dating at this point? When you decide, I think I should take a pregnancy test, who were you with?
The other man.
The other man. You were with this other man.
Yes.
But you were also obviously sleeping with Mr. Conn because he wouldn't even be a possibility.
Correct. I found out the other man had been unfaithful, and then so I took off and I called Jerry, and he let me come stay with him. And that's when me and Mr. Conn hooked up.
So, Mr. Conn, do you remember that weekend?
Yes, I do, because my father was in the hospital. I was in a very emotional state of mind, and we hooked up, and then I found out my father passed, and immediately went to his aid, or whenever I got back home, she wasn't there, so I just figured she went back to the other guy.
So you left again, Ms. Walker?
Yes, Your Honor.
You say this was the love of your life, your soulmate, the other guy had cheated on you. What happens? Why you leave?
I wish I could answer that question. I don't know. Part of me is drawn to the other man. I don't know what it is. I wish I knew.
So you run back to the other man. You find out you're pregnant when you go back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you tell?
The other man.
And what was his response?
He was happy. At this point, he didn't know that I had been with Jerry.
You submitted a calendar to the court. I'd like to review that. So you go to the doctor on January 12th.
Yes, Your Honor.
They tell you are 9 weeks pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
So they tell you your date of conception is November 17th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did they give you a window or did they just tell you this was the date?
That was the date.
They gave you a date of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow. So they could pinpoint it that much.
Yes.
And that made you nervous. You said you started panicking.
Yes.
Why?
Because I knew I'd been with both men on that date.
So as you look at November 17th, you admittedly had sex with Mr. Conn that morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
But had sex with the other man that evening.
Yes, Your Honor. It's not something I'm proud of.
Whoa. So at what point do you tell Mr. Conn, I'm pregnant? Because at this point, we know what happened on that date.
Whenever I went to the doctor, when I found out the conception date, I wasn't exactly sure what day his father had passed away. So I had called him to ask him, and that's whenever I told him.
And so throughout this pregnancy, were you involved, Mr. Conn? Did you go to hospital visits?
No, because me and the other man do not get along too well, and I didn't want to start any confrontation.
So wait a minute. You say you and the other man, so after you found out you were pregnant, Ms. Walker, you stayed with the other man?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was he at Bentley's birth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he sign the birth certificate?
Barely, but yes. He almost missed it.
Barely signed it. What's that mean?
He had left me at the hospital the day after I gave birth, and I didn't hear from him until the next day when I was being discharged.
But he did sign it.
Yes.
So this other man is the father, the legal father listed on Bentley's birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you are here because you hope and believe Mr. Conn is the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. When I look at Bentley, he reminds me so much of Jerry.
And I see you looking so intently at him, Mr. Conn, but you're still full of doubt.
I'm full of doubt because I don't have DNA results.
Exactly. Even though you weren't there for the birth and you didn't sign the birth certificate and the other man signed the birth certificate, you stepped up and been a father to Bentley all this time?
Whenever she needed me, I was there for her. Or whenever he needed me, I was there for him.
How does it go from the other guy signing the birth certificate to Mr. Conn stepping up to be the dad?
This whole time I've been with the other man. The other man has been involved, but me and him don't have a great relationship. And every time I leave him, Jerry's who I go to. Jerry's always been there for me.
Are you two hoping to make this relationship work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I feel like we're a family. I really do. These results will tell me where I need to go from here. Whether me and Jerry can build a relationship from this point on, or I don't know.
So are you just hoping the baby is Mr. Conn's?
Yes.
Or do you believe it? That's two different things.
I'm hoping, because that's what's best for my son.
Because you want what's best for your son.
Yes. There's been a couple times Jerry was diagnosed with scoliosis. He's had back surgery. There's been times where Bentley's been playing, and whenever the light hits his back, it almost looks like he might have it.
And so you think your son, Bentley, may potentially have scoliosis?
Yes, I've heard it might be hereditary.
Do you see some of those signs, Mr. Conn, when you look at Bentley?
Yes, I've seen the slight curvature of the spine.
And so your question is, Now, could this be my son? Because have I potentially passed this condition down to him?
Yes.
But Bentley has never been diagnosed.
No, Your Honor.
And I'd like to find out at an earlier point in time if he's mine. That way he doesn't have to go through back surgery like I did.
Well, I'm going to call on some medical help. I'd like to call in Dr. Samantha Brown Parks. Jerome, can you please escort the doctor in? I want to ask her some questions about scoliosis and whether it has anything to do with paternity.
Hello, Dr. Parks. I'll have you go up to the witness stand, watch your step.
Hello.
Hi, Your Honor.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Brown Parks. The court has heard testimony that baby Bentley looks like potentially has a curving in his spine. Mr. Conn says he does have scoliosis and it was passed down to him from his father. This court wants to know, is scoliosis genetic? Does it have a genetic component where we could potentially connect it to paternity in any way?
Okay, so let's back up just a little bit. Scoliosis is the sideways curvature of the spine, which is abnormal. It's the most common spinal malformation that happens in children. We start screening for this in children around second, third grade when they start doing sports. So at his age, it would be very difficult to diagnose.
Because he's just 13 months.
Because he's only 13 months. That being said, in twin studies, which is the best kind of study that we can get to look to see for inheritability of a disease, it shows us that 38% of those cases are inherited from a parent.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
That is huge.
That kind of lends itself to the potential that Mr. Conn could be Bentley's biological father, since he has the condition.
That's a distinct possibility.
And so, now that you've heard this testimony, Mr. Conn, before I go to the results, can you state to the court what your hopes are today?
I hope that Bentley is my son.
And what about the relationship with Miss Walker? Is the relationship on the line for you?
If she calls me, I'm there for her.
And so how does it make you feel to hear him express that level of unconditional love for you, Miss Walker?
It makes me feel great, but it makes me feel terrible at the same time. Because he deserves so much. He deserves to be loved back that way.
I want you to look at Mr. Conn and I want you to tell him what that love means for you.
It means so much to me that you are there for me like you are. You always have been, and I know you always will be. And I want this for you. I want Bentley to be yours because you deserve it. You deserve it more than anything in the world.
How does it feel to hear her say she wants Bentley to be your child?
I wouldn't have helped her out if she didn't care for me and feel like she wanted Bentley to be mine.
And if he isn't, have you prepared yourself?
I mean, I've been going through it for a year and a month now, so yeah.
I want to put that confusion to rest. Yeah. It's time. Yeah. Jerome, may I have the envelope, please? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Walker versus Conn, when it comes to 13-month-old Bentley, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Conn, you are not the father. I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, if you forget about
I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
I know that was not the result either of you wanted.
No, no.
You said, Ms. Walker, you testified that this result would point you in the direction where you felt you needed to go. What did that mean?
I have to let the other man be his father still, but I don't want to be with him. I would like to work it out with Jerry still.
Mr. Conn, how do you feel about that? Are you willing to continue to work on the relationship even though Bentley is not your biological child?
Yes, ma'am.
You are.